Hey Sprocketeers, strap in because today we are deep diving into the Triumph Scrambler 400X, a bike that promises big scrambler energy in a small, more accessible package. But does it live up to the hype? Well, I've got 20 minutes and a full tank of fuel to find out. Let's go! This one was completely my fault. First impressions, up close with the Scrambler 400X. At first glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is one of Triumph's big scramblers. It's got that unmistakable DNA, high-mounted exhaust, chunky tyres, and a tall stance. But this little beast plays in the sub-400cc league. It's perfect for new riders, commuters, and adventure junkies who don't really need a monster machine. So first up, look at this, the classic tank stripe. The high riding exhaust, even the little branding details, it just oozes Triumph cool. I mean, this isn't just a beginner bike, it really is a statement piece. I was a little bit hesitant when it first arrived, and the reason that I was hesitant was because it was a little bit too nice, and I do have a bit of a reputation for trashing things. I may or may not have previously written off loan bikes, and I was a little bit scared because it's so nice, I didn't really want to damage it. And I'll be honest with you, this bike is like such a premium machine that guys, it looks fantastic. For me, that's too much. I trash things, I break things. I feel like this would hold me back a little bit. I would be scared to trash it. I'd be scared to drop it. On to engine and performance. All right, let's talk about what's under the hood or tank. This Scrambler runs a 398cc single-cylinder engine, making about 40 horsepower. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, is that enough? But trust me, this thing pulls, especially in the mid-range. It's got that torquey grunt that makes it an absolute blast in the city, but mostly an absolute blast on twisty roads. Ooh. Oh man, the road is very bumpy. It's very, very bumpy. First gear. We're going to stand up for these sections because they're quite difficult.
However, in full disclosure, whilst I did absolutely enjoy this bike, I did have a bizarre blip happen on me.
So I just had the weirdest thing happen with this bike. I'm going to try and replicate it. Let's try and replicate it. Basically, I was going uphill and it cut out. The engine just cut out.
Ultimately, I couldn't replicate it, and I was left wondering if it was perhaps something that I did.
But what about twisty road fun? Does it handle well? This is where the Scrambler comes alive. That 19-inch front wheel gives you a lot of confidence in the corners, whilst the 43mm upside-down forks soak up any imperfections just like a champion. It's stable, it's predictable, and most importantly, it's a lot of fun. And Triumph got the balance just right. In terms of the tyres, I've already been quite vocal that I'm not the biggest fan of them. But I mean, as far as stock tyres go, they are not the worst. I love it. Now, if you're coming from a sports bike, it won't feel razor sharp. But hey, that's not what this bike is about. It's about carving through corners with style and a big old grin on your face. A big old grin. All right, folks, let's get a little dirty. Now, this isn't a hardcore dirt bike, but Triumph did give it some proper Scrambler DNA. That long travel suspension, the high-mounted exhaust, and the wide handlebars make it super fun on those little gravelly roads. And also the kind of little dusty trails as well, to be honest. This machine is super playful. The suspension soaks up a lot of bumps, and standing on the pegs feels natural. Now, I wouldn't take this thing on an enduro rally, but for light off-roading and gravel paths, absolutely. It'll get you to that secret camping spot, and in a lot of style. Now, something I do just want to point out also while we're here. Okay, so we are limited a little bit on horsepower. However, ultimately, this is an A2 compliant bike, and what you see is what you get when it comes to restricted bikes. But in terms of an A2 capacity machine, it's a bloody good one. And truthfully, if somebody came to me and asked me to make a recommendation for an A2 bike, I would recommend this. Now, when it comes to motorcycles, for me, it's not just about top speed, which is good because this bike isn't doing so well in that department, but this bike is all about punchy acceleration and smooth and predictable power. Whether you're filtering through traffic or gunning it out of a corner, it's got that fun factor dialed in. Oh, we could not. No! Woo! Now, let's be real. Sound matters. Nobody wants a bike that purrs like a sewing machine, right? Oh, listen to that. What a fantastic sound. What an amazing sound. This bike purrs. This bike purrs. Not bad for a single cylinder, huh? It's got a nice bassy tone that won't shake windows, but it's got just enough growl to turn heads when you're at the stoplights. Or make a pedestrian or two jump at a zebra crossing. I'm not advocating that. So let's take a look at city riding. Is this bike a good commuter? Alright, city riders, this one is for you. At 179 kilograms wet weight, this Scrambler is super nimble. You can flick it around, squeeze through gaps in traffic. It is fantastic. And at first I thought the wide handlebars would be an issue. They absolutely weren't. In fact, they gave you tons of control. Plus, the upright seating position means you get some great visibility, and it's not just a case of playing hide and seek with SUVs. You really can see quite far ahead, and you're quite tall up as well.
And just to give you some perspective on that, this is what your line of sight looks like.
What about seat height? Well, at 835 millimeters, if you're on the shorter side, you might need to be tiptoeing a little bit. But the bike is narrow enough, meaning it's actually easier to manage. And once you're rolling, it's as easy as slicing through butter. Smooth, predictable, and ridiculously fun. Now on to brakes and safety. What about its stopping power? Okay, so we've talked about go. Now let's talk about whoa. Triumph gives the Scrambler 400X a 300mm front disc with a 4-piston caliper and a 230mm rear disc. That's a solid stopping power for a bike this size. Right, there's no cars behind me. Oh, hang on. Just to give you some perspective on braking. That was front brake. That was rear brake. I pulled the clutch in as well, just so you can have a look. But yeah, it's really good, really sharp. I'm genuinely impressed by the brakes. I think they're fab. I think they're fabulosa. Now, braking performance, it is strong, and it's also confidence inspiring. The front brake has a really nice bite, and the rear gives you really good feedback. Plus, it's got switchable ABS, so if you do want to get a little wild off-road, you can turn it off and slide around. I personally wouldn't on this thing, the tank is too nice. I'd be really worried about scratching it. It's definitely a looker piece, and that would be my biggest concerns. Now let's take a little look at features and tech. It is simple and, I'll be honest, not so smart. Now don't expect a spaceship dashboard. It's all about simplicity with this machine. You get a clear digital display with all of the information you need, speed, fuel, gear position, and even a little bit of a trip computer. But there is no TFT screen, there is no touch panels, and it's just good old analog meets simplicity. We all know how I feel about analog. I don't like it. It's not my generation. You do you. Now, Triumph also threw in some full LED lighting, a cool handlebar pad, and some nice premium switchgear. It's those little touches like that that does make the bike feel a little bit more expensive than it is. Alright, time to stretch this machine's legs. Can the Scrambler 400X handle motorway speeds? Short answer, yes. Long answer, we need to talk about Kevin. Now with 40 horsepower, it'll cruise through 70 miles per hour pretty comfortably. It did take a while to get up there, but ultimately it's not a high-speed cruiser. It's totally capable of going on the motorway and doing motorway stints. The 6-speed gearbox keeps the revs in check, and so you don't feel like the engine's going to explode. But when it comes to overtaking on 70 miles an hour, I'm going to be honest, it's not really the bike for it. And if you're looking for a machine that's going to crunch a lot of motorway, this probably isn't the bike for you. On top of that, wind protection? Nah. I mean, it's a Scrambler, so expect a little bit of buffering. But slap on a little fly screen and boom, problem solved, right? That's if you want to. Now let's get on to the verdict. Who is this bike for? Okay, final thoughts. So who should buy this bike? Well, if you're looking for a cool, fun and versatile machine that can handle city riding, backroad fun and the occasional off-road adventure, then this one is a winner. It's great for new riders who want a stylish, approachable bike, commuters looking for something practical but also fun, and Scrambler lovers who don't want a heavy 900cc beast. But who is it not great for? Well, this would be speed demons who need 100 plus horsepower, long distance tourers needing the ultimate comfort, and also hardcore off-roaders looking for ultimately a dirt bike. Depending on which category you fit in is ultimately going to depend how you feel about this machine. So should you buy the Triumph Scrambler 400X? Well, if you love it, classic styling, torquey engines and a bike that's just plain fun, then heck yeah. Plus it's an absolute steal for the price. Well, Sprocketeers, that's all we have time for today. Now, if you guys do want to see more great bike content, don't forget to hit subscribe. Alternatively, if you guys own a Scrambler 400X, let me know what you think about my review in the comments below. Alternatively, if you don't own one, what would be your first adventure with the bike? Now, in the meantime, my name is Sappy Sprocket. Ride safe, stay crazy, and I'll see you next week. Bye! This one was completely my fault.